Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to a new episode for grade 10, and this time we'll study Unit 6. In this episode, we will learn grammar and language functions. Take a look at what we're going to look at during this episode. First, we will learn grammar, the countable and uncountable nouns, the present perfect and the present perfect continuous. For the language functions, we will introduce a subject and then we will learn how to state an opinion. So grab your pens and your books and pay attention. First of all, we will learn the countable and the uncountable nouns. Now take a look at this picture. Can you count the water in the picture? No, we cannot count the water. Now take a look at this picture. Can you count the pens? Yes, we can. They are 8 pens. The countable nouns are basically nouns that can be counted. For example, 1 apple, 2 apples, 3 apples. The uncountable nouns are nouns that cannot be counted. For example, smoke, water, and rice. These are the countable and the uncountable nouns. Now there is a set of words in English we call quantifiers, or the quantity words that we use with the uncountable and the uncountable nouns. For example, words like a few, a lot of, some, a little, how many, how much for questions, and any. The question is, how do I use the correct quantifier for the noun I'm using? Let's take a look at those quantifiers. Quantifiers for countable nouns. How many for questions? If I want to ask about something that I can count, I will go with how many. For example, how many pairs of shoes do you have? Now take a look. Pairs of shoes. I added S at the end, so I can count them. Or when I say a few, I have a few flower pots in my garden. Or I can use the quantifier a number of. My friend visited a number of shops before buying this sofa. So a number of shops. I added S to the word shop because shops can be counted. Several is also a good quantifier used for the countable nouns. I traveled to several countries last summer. You see here, countries with an S because I can count it. Let's take a look at quantifiers for uncountable nouns. How much? I will use how much when I want to ask about something that I cannot count. For example, how much oil do you add to the salad? I can use a little for the uncountable nouns as well, like when I say I only add a little oil to my salad. A bit of is also a good quantifier for uncountable nouns. There is a bit of coffee remained in the kettle. Now take a look at the words oil and coffee. Can you add S to the end of this word, to this noun? No, I cannot say coffees. A coffee is a coffee. A great deal of is also a quantifier used with uncountable nouns. Being an athlete requires a great deal of effort and commitment. Can you make effort and commitment a plural? No. Now, quantifiers for countable and uncountable nouns. Quantifiers that can be used with both the countable and the uncountable nouns. For example, no and none. You can say no help and none of the students. You can use it for the uncountable and the countable nouns. Any, for example, any cheese or any friends. A lot of work, a lot of people. Plenty of friends, and plenty of sugar. So these quantifiers can be used with countable and uncountable nouns. Let's take this exercise. Fill in the gaps using the correct quantifier for the noun provided to you. So you have to take a look at the noun first and think, is it countable or uncountable? And use the correct quantifier for it. You have the word many, a few will be used twice, and the word a little. So 1, there are dash biscuits left in the packet. 2, we've got dash time before next class begins. 3, my friend planted a lot of flowers. I only planted dash. 4, there are dash options. I don't know what to choose. So think about it, take a look at the noun and choose the correct quantifier. For the first question, we will fill it with a few. There are a few biscuits left in the packet. So a few is a quantifier used for the countables. 2, we've got a little time before the next class begin. So a little is a quantifier used for the uncountable. 3, my friend planted a lot of flowers. I only planted a few. 4, there are many options. I don't know what to choose. If you got it right, well done. Now, let's take a look at the present perfect and the present perfect continuous. Many of you asked, when do I choose the present perfect? There are 3 main cases to use the present perfect. The first one is when something has happened in the past and has a connection to the present. And the second case is when something has just happened. And the third case is when something has happened in the past and continued to the present and will last till the future. We will take an example for each case. When something happened in the past and has a connection to the present. Let's take an example for it. This is the restaurant that I have visited with my friends. So I'm pointing at the restaurant. So this is something in the present that has a connection to the past. This is the restaurant that I have visited with my friends. That's why I used the present perfect. Now think about it. Where is the word that tells me that this sentence is in the present perfect? Take your time, think about it, and take a look at the next example. When something have just happened, for example, she has just visited this restaurant. So, just happened, I said has just visited. This sentence has something in common with the sentence before it. The third case is when something happened in the past and continued to the present and will last till the future. They have lived in this house since 2009. So, something happened in the past, continued until the present, and maybe it will last until the future. Let's explain those 3 sentences. The first sentence, this is the restaurant that I have visited with my friends. Take a look at have and visited. Have and visited tells me that this sentence is in the present perfect because I used have and I followed it with a verb in the past participle. Take a look at the second sentence. She has visited this restaurant. So I have the word has and I followed it with a verb in the past participle. Now the question is, when do I use have and when do I use has? You will use have with the plural and I. And you will choose has with the singular, she, he, and it, and names as well. The last example, they have lived in this house since 2009. You see here, because it's a plural, starts with a plural, they, I added have, and then the verb in the past participle, lived. So remember, if you're going to use the sentence in the present perfect, you can choose between has or have, and then follow it with a verb in the past participle. Bear that in mind. So, the formula or the equation for the present perfect is using either has or have, and the verb is always in the past participle. For example, Noura has painted her room red. You see, Noura is a singular and it's a name. So I chose has and the verb in the past participle. The second example is they have worked here since 2001. So they here is a plural And so I chose have, and I followed it by the verb in the past participle. You see here, the word since tells me that this thing happened in the past and lasted until this day. More examples. The cat has eaten the woman's dinner. Take a look at has and then followed by the verb in the past participle, has eaten. If I want to turn this affirmative sentence into the negative one, I will go like, the cat hasn't eaten the woman's dinner. So I will add not or nt to the word has to make it negative. The cat hasn't eaten the woman's dinner. If I want to make or form a question for this statement, I will go like, who has eaten the woman's dinner? So the verb will not change. The past, present perfect. Let's fill in the gaps using the present perfect. Fahad and Jassim, pay attention, there are two. Fahad and Jassim, and I have the verb arrive and the word just. Fill in the gaps using the present perfect. The second example is she dash, and I have the word just and leave. Remember, with the present perfect, you have to choose either has or have and then follow it with the verb in the past participle. I'll give you a second. Think about it. The first example will go like, Fahad and Jassim have just arrived, and I chose have because there are two, Fahad and Jassim. And you can take a look at this verb now. It's in the past participle because it comes after have. She has just left. The past participle of leave is left. So I said she has just left. Now, we learned the present perfect. Let's learn more about the present perfect continuous. When I say they have been living in this house for 3 years, take a look at the verbs in this sentence. Have been living in this house for 3 years. So have will tells me that this sentence is in the present perfect. But then when I take a look at the verb living with an ing, I will think about the continuous. So basically, the present perfect continuous formula will go like the subject, which is they, and then I will choose between have or has because it's a present perfect, and then I will put the word been in the middle. So I will go, they have been living in this house for 3 years. The question is, why did I add the word been in the middle? Because I need a past participle after has or have. And I need to add the verb in the ing because it's a present perfect continuous. So what would I do? I will put the verb in the ing because it's a present perfect continuous, and I will bring the word been and put it between them. So the sentence will be, they have been living. Let's take a look at this example. Iman has been watching television since 2 p.m. So Iman here is a singular. I chose has for it. And because the sentence is in the present perfect continuous, I need a past participle. Because the verb here is in the ing, watching. What would I do? I will bring a verb to be in the past participle and put it after has. So the sentence will be, Iman has been watching television since 2 p.m. Now here, since is a keyword used for the present perfect and the present perfect continuous. This keyword shows me or tells me a specific point at a time. For is also a keyword used in the present perfect and the present perfect continuous. For shows the length of time. For example, Iman has been watching television for 3 hours. Open your student's book, page 48, exercise 5C. Complete the sentences using the correct form of the verb. Do it, check your understanding. The first one will go, I dash wait for you in the gym for over an hour. So here they used for. Think about it. He dash just arrive. 3. The exam results dash give out already, haven't they? The first one will go like, I have been waiting for you in the gym for over an hour. 2. He has just arrived. 3. The exam results have given out already, haven't they? If you got it right, well done. Now let's take a look at the language functions. Basically, in the language functions questions, all you have to do is imagine yourself in that situation and then think about a response. Write this response in a full grammatical sentence. Let's take a look at this example. You accidentally broke your mother's favorite serving plate. So imagine yourself in this situation. What will you do? For example, I have something important to tell you. I accidentally broke your favorite plate. What do we call this? We call it introducing a subject. So you started by saying, I have something important to tell you. This is how you introduce a subject to a person. Another example is your friend is going to buy a new television but is confused between a smart television and a regular one. What will you say in that situation? You will go like, in my opinion, smart televisions are much better than regular ones. Just look at the options you have. This is stating an opinion because you started the sentence with, in my opinion, so you stated your opinion. In this episode, we learned grammar and language functions. In the grammar, we learned the countable and uncountable nouns, the quantifiers, the present perfect, and the present perfect continuous. We learned how to answer a language functions question, how to state an opinion, and introduce a subject. That's it for today's episode. Thank you for watching and see you soon.